Welcoming you back to crypto's juiciest news, baby dolls. We are seeing a slight uptick in the cryptocurrency lands. You and I waiting for the racist Russell 2000 to show his glorious racism to the world. We will be watching him every single day closely. Also giving him a bit of a sniff. This is the racist Russell 2000. This is extremely important. We are still holding above the all-time high. This is very important. Before we look at anything, okay, this is above its 2021 prices still. It's holding. And I've even shown you as well, friends, if we go to and we look at the 12-month chart for the racist Russell 2000, this is absolutely phenomenal. This is the yearly candle, right? The last time it did a major wick on the downside like this was in 2020. And in the year after, it went up a whopping 24.6%. Assuming Mr. Racist Russell closes here, 24.6% will be a whopping $3,075 index price for the Racist Russell 2000. That would imply a big fat giant thrust up for the US manufacturing PMI, and it would make sense fundamentally and all with the narratives, the N words going around. I know price action moves first, but if you're looking at long-term indicators, I mean, in terms of liquidity injections, the government has told us big things are coming. And I guess at this point, we're just going to have to take their word for it because, you know, got the Trump $2,000 dividend. We've already had QT basically just stop now. We're going to go through that. We need to be speaking about quite a few things. President Trump calling major loser, incompetent, and a real dope. We're going to be speaking about that. I'm serious as well. Speaking about income tax. We're going to be speaking about more of the US Fed QT ending, MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, or is he going to sell? Is he going to be Michael Saylor? We will see when it comes to that. Binance, CZ, Paulie Boot Atkins, Amazon. Are they going to be competing in the AI race? AI, the big thing that's coming next year with all the chips and the infrastructure. Some stuff from the lovely Pokemon island known as Japan, Vanguard, Circle, all of that coming your way and more. Stablecoin super cycle juice. First, the monthly candle, friends. We have now finally started to shift green. Have you noticed now there's a bit of a thrust that's going up? We now have this bullish little hammer for BTC. We are now in the month of December. It's likely, not surely, but likely that, you know, December finishes green and what we have what we call like the relief rally, the dead cat bounce, if you will. And I want to remind you, remember, friends, this yellow line here that you see, this yellow line is the 10-period moving average of the monthly. And what I've actually done now, I've just changed it into a blue, just so you can see here, because it's getting a bit racist with the channel lines here. So you just see this, right? So you can see now that back in 2022, friends, see Bitcoin, it closed this month deeply under the 10-period moving average, momentum indicator. And it was right here where Uncle Bobby started selling. He sold all of his Bitcoin pretty much back here. And as you got to see, right, this is what happened here was Russia, Ukraine. And then eventually we went up and all we could do was hover around this. And this was what we call that dead cat bounce bar. That's what everybody believes is going to happen now. But I just want to tell you contextually what was different here was you had the US Fed declaring themselves to be major loser. And they said, we're going to stop the QE. We're going to do some tightening. We know we're going to like pretty much you're forecasting the balance sheet to go down and they're going to raise rates as well. It was like the double whammy. Okay. Now you don't have that. That's why it's just a different scope here. Now we have rates that are being cut and we have the balance sheet, the tightening has stopped, you know, but that's why people believe that the cycle is over. But maybe there's another way to look at this. Maybe the way to look at it is the orange juice is maybe glass half full in terms of look at the amazing run we were able to have so far when the US Fed hasn't even done any QE. Kind of showing you the amazing product market fit. I know I'm going to vomit as I say this. The amazing product market fit of crypto was able to fight through huge interest rates, massive tightening, liquidity restrictions around the world, and crypto was still able to manage to go back to its all-time high, around $3 trillion for the total industry. I'm now going to show you in a family-friendly way the weekly candle. We now have a weekly bull hammer. See this big wick here, friends? The channel of friendship is being respected. which is wonderful to see. This channel of friendship, it will be lovely. When we finally get here, friends, this is going to be the battle of our lifetime. And, you know, it might actually land around the final month of Year of the Snake. It's going to be wild, man. Man, everyone's going to really think it's over. So, no, friends, I don't know anything, man. But, like, you know, you got 5-year bonds. They're rolling over the debt next year. You have Kevin Hassett. Maybe he's being chosen anytime now as the US Fed replacement. Rates are coming down. Main Street has to eat. Main Street have not eaten since 2021. It's been a very, very, very long time. It's just Wall Street that's eaten. Main Street is in. And Main Street buys altcoins with the business cycle, right, as that continues up. We also have the $2,000 Trump dividend coming. We have the big, beautiful bill spending. We have the Bitcoin strategic reserve. All the other things, like, they're coming. The chickens are coming home to roost in a good way because we need a lot of eggs next year. And the AI chipset, Trump and the administration, they basically said we're gonna let the economy run hot. We actually want high inflation because, like, we want manufacturing to everything to boom up. We've got to compete with China. So at least the channel of friendship is being respected. It's pretty cool here. No one else has this channel of friendship, by the way, friends. I think I saw one person out there in the ethosphere with this channel out here. I really do hope that it continues to hold. If we move on as well, remember, all eyes are going to be on Ethereum in the recovery. What can Ethereum do? Can Ethereum show itself to rise up as we move on through this recovery phase? Is it going to be able to do the heavy lifting? I think it will. It's underpriced, etc., etc. This is Others BTC. Others BTC showing a bit of racism with a tick down as well. The monthly MACD is ready to flip though. QT has now ended. And you're right, friends, it's funny. It just isn't, man. Pay attention. I've been telling you literally, well, it's been like a week now, week and a half. I've been telling you, look, the new disbelief cope narrative is QT ending is not the same as QE. That's what you've been hearing over and over and over again. Every single KOL has said that. It was funny, man. I cackled laughing. I heard Ivan on tech said that yesterday. I heard, literally, I watched the whole video. Ben Copen said the same thing. Literally, every single influencer and influencee is literally saying QT ending is not QE because they're all short, dude. They're all short. They're all sideline. By the way, if you guys sold, you just paid taxes, right? So, so here's the thing, right? So, for example, Ivan, even if you bought the low, which no one did, right? Let's say you bought the low of Bitcoin at 16K and then you sold at literally the all-time high. You sold exactly the all-time high. You've got to pay about, I'll find it now. You've got to pay $33,000 of your Bitcoin price in tax, which means even if you sold the exact high, which no one did, right? Friends, you've got to pay... your break-even point is actually $92,000. They're actually break-even right now. That's funny. And I think it's very important to pay attention to this, friends, because you'll get to see these, friends. All this stock market, the boomer dudes, you get to learn all these lessons for them over time, and they have a lot of merit. So, like, selling, it's like, friends, like in terms of like selling and buying in, it's not what people think. It's not, oh, just, you know, I sell, buy back in, I win. No. You have to sell at the right time. You have to pay taxes. Then you've got to rebuy. Where do you rebuy? And this is realistically, so if in a perfect world, you keep selling and buying and selling and buying and selling and buying, okay? But the perfect world doesn't exist. The perfect world is if you believe Bitcoin is really, really, let's say Bitcoin example. If you really believe Bitcoin's going to 500K one day, you never click sell because you're too scared to even sell at 80,000 because the pain you will feel if it goes to like 160,000 is too much. You've lost half your stack. It's like if you had 5 houses, you sold them because you thought they were going to dump and then they doubled in 5 years. Now you can only buy back like 2 houses. You can't even get half a house. You know, you see the pain of that? You don't own anything anymore. Yeah, the pain of letting go is too much. But then when you buy back in as well, what happens is 100% of people, literally 99.9%, they buy back in with less because they've taken money, they've paid themselves psychologically. So let's say someone gets in, let's say after tax they make 100,000, they don't put $100,000 back in. Even if Bitcoin drops like 50% from their entry, they do not put $100,000 back in. They put like, you know, $30,000 to $50,000 back in. They never get that full amount in ever because they want to pay themselves because it's too nice. They never deploy it back in. And then eventually what happens over time is they're so used to it, they keep calling for lower prices. They go down, down, Bitcoin 5K, Bitcoin 10K, Saylor, Michael Saylor. They keep saying stuff like that, and then eventually goes up without them. They have disbelief rally, you know, and then they're sidelined, but they go, oh, that's okay, I'm still up, it's still going to be, and they just get the new cope narrative. But if you follow them, you get wrecked because you don't know what they're doing, okay? You don't sit with them when they're talking to their accountant. You don't sit with them on their non-squeaky chairs, actually, most of these influencers. They don't tell you what they're actually doing in their finances. And you don't know, friends, all these influencers, man, if they're sitting on already like 35 million, right? They don't give a shit whether they own like, you know, 400 Bitcoin or 320. They don't really care, you know? But you would care because you don't have 400 Bitcoin. You don't have 4 Bitcoin. You got like 0.4, 0.04, 0.004, okay? It's not enough to retire. All right, but you don't know this until it's too late. You've already given them their $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 money for subscription or trading referral links or some sort of indicator, whatever it is. They're all grifting something. They're all selling something. Okay, and then only after 6 to 12 to 18 months, you end up leaving them. You end up finding something else. You go try something else. And so begins the cycle, actually. That's actually the real cycle of crypto. The real cycle of crypto is influencers coming in and grifting everybody. And then when people realize there's actually no alpha and edge, they get gaslit by the KOL who says, oh, guess what? You're not working hard enough. You're not doing this. You're not doing that. This guy is doing good. And they're like, oh, can I talk to him? Who's this guy anyway? They go, la, 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 can't hear you. And then when we have a new higher price discovery, they get a whole new round of suckers. That's the real crypto cycle, okay? The liquidity cycle is what we're looking at now. This is Bitcoin dominance, friends. Bitcoin dominance on the weekly. It is still making these massively lower highs. Let's see how far it goes. Many people believe that we're going to have a shock up. I think Copen believes Bitcoin dominance is going to go to like 70%. Everything's rising up because of the QT and QE stuff like here. I guess we'll just witness if Ethereum is able to do some heavy lifting as we go up as well. Let's look at the quotes price action, friends. Right now, Bitcoin at $92,000. Doing this huge V. This is like a classic, you know, higher low, double bottom signal here. Do you remember, friends, we were drawing? I drew this triangle. So, yes, hopefully this does end up working out. But, yeah, all the big zone is around here, 104, 105. I think it's definitively what I've actually seen is from everyone. I'll just gather this. There will be disbelief and hatred up until Bitcoin is literally has to print like 130,000. Yeah, it will have to print literally 130,000. Anything below that, no one cares. Same thing with Ethereum. Ethereum has to trade at 5,000 because no one cares. 3 or 4, no one gives a crap, okay? If it's under 5,000, no one cares. Which kind of tells you that's a big gap of haters. That's going to be interesting to see if we move through January and we successfully battle off the soy in Year of the Snake. This is the monthly candle for the Nasdaq, friends. The Nasdaq, of course, very important as well. If we move it down to the weekly chart, you can see the Nasdaq here. This weekly chart, man, we had these big AI bubble popping fees. Just to tell you as well, friends, the stock market doesn't do that. Okay, that's what crypto does. Crypto's a scam like that. It just does that. Stock market does like this, bang, like it does like that. Before it rolls over, it does like that. And then it does stuff, and then eventually rolls over. It does like this whole rolling. By the way, you see this whole chart pattern? Friends, it's literally... That would be Nasdaq finishing down. Let's say next year, by the end of next year. Let's say it actually does finish down here, for example. This is literally, by the way, all of 2026. It finishes down 9% next year. But look, it just goes up and up and up and up. And then end of next year does something like this. Lower high, and then eventually rolls over. And look at that. That'll be from today. It's like down 20%. You never know. It might actually literally just do this chart pattern. And next year might be Main Street eating. Now, why I've drawn that is just to show you that the stock market, that's very hard to time it because you have DCA Ponzi money coming in and all the scamming. Well, it's not scamming. You know, DCA Ponzi money. It's a system, right? If you don't like it, you can always join. But also, Main Street must eat. So, hopefully next year, stock market is only marginally high. Russell 2000s are big. And we see business ISM going up. Okay. We're also seeing some positive things such as the gas prices and everything lowering for the average investor out there. This is the monthly chart of Ethereum. You notice it came back into this order block. Here it is here. It's very interesting, friends, because Ethereum, if it goes back up here, friends, it would be above its 10-period moving average. But that's because it never was able to go basically and shoot above it. Bitcoin's relative pricing went up to here, and then it came back down. So its monthly period moving average is like here, and then Bitcoin's down there. But Ethereum just never was able to lift off. So that's why we'll see. It's going to be a real test of everything and our belief. This is the total crypto market cap. As you get to see, my target is 10 trillion because it's the highest Fibonacci Fib extension. These are the world asset classes. I don't think crypto should be 3 trillion, man. I think, look, friends, if bonds are 150, stocks are 150, real estate's 400 trillion, gold is 30 trillion. I think it's racist, transphobic, antiseptic, and bigoted for crypto to be 3 trillion. It should be way, way, way higher. Now, let us crack on with some news. So President Trump said Fed chair major loser is incompetent and a real dope. And actually, I want to hear him give it to him. So I'm just going to listen to friends. Let's listen carefully. Turn it up if you can.
And mortgage rates, despite the fact that we have an incompetent chairman of the Fed, a real dope, who should reduce rates. I saw even Jamie Dimon said he should be reducing rates. I never saw Jamie Dimon say that. I wonder why he said that.
Wow, man, that's good. I love hearing that. Let's play some Pumper G music for us because we deserve it. Make memes great again. There he is. This is a real dope. Major loser Powell. He's the major loser, friends. He is. Why are interest rates 4% when true inflation's 2.4? Why? Why is that? Okay, you cause this mess. Friends, if US Fed always causes the messes. Just to let you know, you do all the digging. It's the US Fed stuff. Because if it was free market setting the price of money, the free market would sniff stuff out much earlier. Okay, but they don't. Because central banks throughout the history of mankind always have to control everything, okay? And we'll never be able to relinquish their power. That's why we literally made crypto. Because they go, oh, you toggle monetary policy to control the population with your currency. We're just going to make our own currency. That's literally the birth of crypto. President Trump says there will be no income tax at some point in the not too distant future. I kind of see that as like a make-believe fairy tale. No income tax. I think there's like literally no chance. Just to tell you as well, friends, that just so you know conceptually, the whole point of income tax is so your government, my government, our governments, okay, it's so they maintain a bid on your national currency, okay? That's the whole reason for tax, because you have to withhold tax and pay it next year and pay it the year after, okay? Because you're holding on, you create a bid for the currency. If they didn't have a system, you know, we could do a system where they just print off the currency. They could do that, where everybody has 0% tax rates, and what the government does is they literally steal 30% of your purchasing power every year. But the numbers would be like too hard to compute. But they could do that system. They don't do that system because they just be stealing from you straight away. Instead, what they do is they get you to basically hand stuff money, and that's why they toggle with the rates. But that's the whole purpose of these. If you want to know mechanically why is that, because if that didn't happen, you would never hold their currency, because that's what they're using to steal your purchasing power. You would literally never hold the currency because they keep diluting it. You know, that's why, you know, is the population ever going to wake up? Probably not. You know, because they just get some George Floyd gets sprinkled on them, some Sydney Sweeney boobies and stuff just hanging in front of their face just to get them distracted. Until the next big blue pill distraction, once again, like, you know, the news event comes around. President Trump calls for the Fed Reserve to cut interest rates next week. So as we heard him say, even Jamie Dildo says that Powell, major loser, should cut rates. Jamie Dildo, friends, the JP Mosquito CEO, Jamie Dildo, he's known as like a super conservative guy. So like even the stock market guys, they always joke like, oh yeah, Jamie Dildo's one, like they don't even bother reporting on him saying there's going to be big storms, there's going to be a recession, things are really bad, because he's like ultra conservative, because he's the head of a bank, right? Banks have always got to think about what's the biggest risk and stuff out here. But that's why President Trump saying, even Jamie Dildo, who's like said, oh, we've got to be careful of the inflation, he's always like super conservative with that. Even he's saying we should cut rates. That's what he's hinting at. The US Fed officially calls time on 3.5 years of QT, right, ending. They said the quantitative tightening, so the gorilla grip around the nuts, we're now going to relinquish the hand. And they have injected $13.5 billion into the system. I've got videos and stuff coming out on that. That's very important, friends, just to show you how it all works. So just so you get a quick sniff of this picture. They've been quietly injecting money, so the whole premise of how this works is they don't go from 0 to 100. They don't go from 0 to QE, okay? Because that is panic. And what the governments always want to do is they don't want to get into the panic capitulation part, all right? Because people start doing crazy stuff. So what they try to do is they try to plug holes before they get to that big point, That's why they have these mini systems, but they don't call them like QE 0.1 to QE 0.2. They don't do that. They just have these different names out here, and they help these banks, and it's Cantillon effect stuff, right? All these banks have direct swap lines and things. You and I don't get stuff like that, but the population is asleep, so let's wait for our bread and circus. Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy team said they would consider lending Bitcoin into the future. So if they lend Bitcoin, I guess they would be earning a yield on it. And this is the MicroStrategy to BTC ratio. It just hit like this hugely low line, down 67%. I think there's a moving average part here. I think if it has some sort of relief rally, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's kind of funny, friends. Like, this is a weekly chart. If MicroStrategy just does this, goes up halfway next year, comes back down, does a lower high, and then rolls over in 2027. This is our whole year of this, by the way. This is a whole year of it failing, and we can have like a big alt season run up there if it's an Ethereum focused, smart contract platform focused type of cycle run. But also MicroStrategy copping heat because, you know, Michael Saylor always says never share your Bitcoin, share your kidneys first. So they'll have to sell, dude. They have to sell. They've got obligations. How are they going to get the dividend yields if their share price doesn't hold up? And it might be some sort of FUD. You never know, friends. Maybe next year, let's say there's two alt. I'm not going to say the word alt reason. Okay, alts reason. Okay, I can't say the word. It's a banned word. But let's say. But look, man, if everyone's thinking it's game over, that usually means it's going to be not just one, but there's two. Maybe in the bottom of the first one, after the first one rolls over, MicroStrategy sells. And then I'll be coming out saying, guess what? Bull markets don't end because of sellers. Bull markets end when you run out of buyers, right? And then there'll probably be something else that we could just see on the agenda. Maybe the PMI has just ticked over to 53, and it was recently 52. And I will show you from the business cycle, just to show you, friends, now we've hit 37 months of bad PMI. Just to tell you, whenever we tick above 52 on the PMI, the shortest amount of time to the top was 9 months. The shortest. And the longest was 18 months for crypto cycles. 9 to 18. Yeah, so let's say that the shortest time is 9 months. What if we hit 52 PMI in literally April next year? You know, it means we're running to 2027. So that's going to be quite a wild one. And, you know, we don't want to rely on that one. No one wants to rely on that second alts if it gets there. But we'll see, man. We'll see. It's been one hell of a run. We don't even know if we're going to get one. I mean, everyone's calling for a bear market. Binance founder CZ says he predicts more all-time highs coming. That is CZ, my friend CZ. Really good, friends. A lot of these big guys in 2022, they knew there was a lot of silly mania. Like, you know, like CZ, Richie Fant, many, you know, these esteemed individuals back then, they were not saying 2022 crypto is going to be amazing. They weren't actually saying that. Because in 2021, they saw dogs, they saw JPEGs, they saw Paris Hilton, Justin Bieber with the monkey JPEGs. They saw this as like a big abomination. They saw Beeple, just that weirdo. I'm sorry, friends. Look. I'm sorry, man, but Beeple's art, sorry, man, he's just dog shit. I'm just gonna go and say it. This thing, I don't know how this guy's famous. Okay, if you gotta make this, I just don't know, man. It kind of inspires me as well to know that I could literally take a liquid diarrhea poop on a piece of paper and sell it to you, bro. How are you a world fame? What is this? What is this? Pink flamingos with a laser eye here, looking at just NFTs on the floor. Like, how is this guy? How is he a world? What is this, bro? Man, if a high school student handed this in, you'd get a 1, man, out of 10. No, make a 1 out of 100. What is this? It's just, I don't get it. Man, my friends, he made like 40, someone bought his $40 million JPEG or something. It was just, gosh, you know, whatever. But yeah, we're all looking at that and we're like, oh man, something's really wrong with that. CZ and Richie Fart and everyone else, they're not saying that now. They're saying the best is yet to come. Okay, so I guess you could take their kind of opinion, like, as well. Like, they see what we see, right? SEC Chairman Paulie Boo Atkins says innovation exemption for crypto firms is coming in January. Big bonus. If you're a crypto firm, you sign up, you become like an American crypto. There'll be certain standards, and not just stable coins, but altcoins and stuff here. That's going to be big, man. It's going to really allow these firms that you never know, friends, that might help boost the alts, right? Alt reason. It might actually boost it because they're just gonna maybe do so many more lax things and then make it more like a open capitalism style. Another thing to look forward to next year. Amazon, friends, is going to be competing with NVIDIA. Amazon is going to launch a new ass intelligence chip to rival NVIDIA and Google McDougal. Okay, so NVIDIA have their chip and Google, right? They made their AI, the Gemini. Google doing it as well. So as you can see, friends, like, man, this is wild. They're all racing to conquer AI. Like, we all know this. You conquer AI, you conquer everything because you're making consciousness. Because you're literally inventing 200 IQ humans, and if your data center has the brain chip AI, then you have the AI agents. It's literally like you're creating human fetuses, which are gonna grow up to be, like 6 foot tall, blonde hair, blue eyed, the special race, and they have like 200 IQ, right? And let's say you give them posture that's about. Because you can't get it as straight as mine. Maybe about 75% as straight as my posture, which is like superhuman already. And then you give them quite pointy elbows as well. Like, there you go. You made a superhuman race. But yeah, you don't need to actually physically make it yet because everything's digital. We just make the AI agents and you have access to it. So whoever controls that wins. Also, just to let you know, America's, friends, is putting export bans on they're putting export restrictions on their chips. So you can't send it to China. China government and stuff can't. The war's just heating up. Doesn't look like, oh, hey guys, let's bow down to Major Luther Powell because inflation might be a bit high next year. Let's give up our advantage to China. I don't think that's gonna happen. Rocca Negra CEO Larry Finkelstein says tokenization today is roughly where the internet was in 1996. So why do you hear that, friends? It's because the bubble bursted in 2000. So when everyone says 1996, what they're saying is there's a couple of years left. But he's a bit optimistic on it as well. Maybe more towards 1998. Maybe we're like going to hit the super hot phase of the infrastructure part and it will transcend into the city phase where we hear some story of someone makes an AI thing in the garage and now, the market cap is worth like $8 billion. Like, and let's say some 22-year-old and his friend makes like, $8 billion market cap thing and they own 30% of it. And when you just hear that story, because the 8 billion valuation will be people wanting to get in on the AI craze, right? Because remember, ChatGPT is like, it's 500 billion right now. It's going to be trading at a trillion, but it's not released yet. So whoever makes like a competitor and get a big valuation, it's going to be quite the story. And that might be our sign to be like, hey, things are getting wild out here. But that's PMI 55, 60 environment, Japan, friends, over there in Pokemon Island, they plan to apply a 20% flat tax on crypto profits, aligning crypto levy with equities and investment trusts to foster domestic trading. I think it's a great idea. They should do that. It's very, very hard, man, with crypto because, they got to get all the systems and everything out here. Just remind the friends, I know we've got nothing to pay now, but I will be telling you making videos, don't do this anarchy stuff. Just pay your taxes, dude. Just pay your taxes. Stagger your stuff out. It's not worth it. Don't screw. Like, you already know this, by the way. We've already bet more than we can afford to lose. I know it's hard because you feel like you got your 7 pounds of flesh. But look, I know it's gonna sound a bit wild to say, but look, man, if it all does work out, just consider it like a blessing and go, okay, well, you know what? You didn't raise rates to 10% and then produce a world recession, Mr. Government. You did end up pumping it. The debt did roll over. The PMI did go 55, 60. We did get our 2 alts. So by the end of it, just make sure you do a good thing and then we can always roll it over for the next cycle. In a major shift, $11 trillion Vanguard is going to allow trading of spot crypto ETFs. I reported on this, friends, in the past 24 hours. Huge news because the Vanguard CEO kept saying crypto has no value, crypto sucks. Which is, I totally get it, dude. I totally get it. Because guess what? I hold it and I think it's dog shit. So what are you thinking, bro? As well, and they have 50 million plus clients, 50 million people. And they will now be allowed to buy, Bitcoin ETF, Ethereum ETF, XRP ETF, Solana ETF, the Dogecoin ETF, Chainlink ETF. I think Chainlink ETF is starting to trade in something out here. Let's say the price dump. Yeah, price is doing dog crap for Chainlink. Yeah, no, yeah, it looks absolute abomination. Whatever. Let's play some angel music. That's all we got here. It's just such an abomination, bro. Such an abomination. We need Pokemon Island to not explode again. You've been seeing all these fears about the Japan yen carry, by the way, as well, friends. So, I think it's overblown. It's priced in. We had the fears. They're doing staggering stuff. And a lot of the inflation from Japan is actually from rice. And they've got different protectionist policies. Inflation is going up, but it's not as bad as everyone thinks. Just everyone keeps thinking this is going to blow up. It's not. I don't think it's anything as bad. They've been known about it for a long time, friends. That's why in markets, when you know about something for a long time, it's usually not a problem. Okay? The one-off that it was a GFC. That's spooked everybody because the houses were going and then it kept getting worse, and then eventually the contagion happened later on. Okay? But that was a rare event. Okay? Bank of America, friends, says its wealth clients could allocate up to 4% of their portfolios into crypto. Aggressive, man. That's big. You got to remember, Vanguard, they have 11 trillion under management. So if everyone allocated 1%, just 1%, you get $110 billion insertion into crypto. That is huge. That adds about 1.1 trillion market cap to us. Just that. Just Vanguard, right? Then you got Infidelity. Then you have, everybody else coming in. And that's 1% allocation, man. 1%. If, let's say the Soyboy bears are wrong, okay? Let's say they stop hooking up with their boyfriends and putting glitter all over their face, all right? And let's say they stop doing that and skipping leg day. And actually, let's say Bitcoin is trading above $130,000 next year. These people aren't going to allocate 1%. Okay, because they're going to be hearing Saylor saying it's going to $1 million, it's going to $1 million, it's going to $1 million. That's what they're going to be hearing. And they'll probably allocate 2, 3, 4, 5%. Circle, friends, not Square, but Circle have announced the Circle Foundation, seeded with 1% of its equity back to CDFIs. I seed stuff with my equity too. Okay, in a family-friendly way. It'll serve US small businesses and global partners, upgrading humanitarian financial infrastructure. Circle, friends, I don't know, this is so weird, but it relates to stablecoin super cycle. Remember, the infrastructure, they're all embedded with the government. They're all going to be providing the payment rail systems for everyone out here in Normie land who's coming out to eventually get the good benefit of crypto, which is great. I know you're saying, what benefit of crypto? It's just been pain, tears, and agony. I know, but hopefully things turn around. So where are we going to go from here, friends? Remember, the channel of friendship. It's all about the channel of friendship. The channel of friendship is being respected. But even in 2022, it didn't necessarily mean we were out of the woods. Okay, in 2022, we have this channel though. It's all gonna come down here. Okay, it's literally, if we draw this big box, if we do come in anywhere from as low as 95 up to, let's say, 105. There you go, 95 to 105. Everything in this box. How is it gonna react? If I was to guess, there is a get the 4-year cycle Jeets out again who are planning to sell for the 150K. Like Trader Main, you got to get Trader Main out. You got to get every single person, friends, who's literally just holding, because a lot of people, they've sold a lot of it, okay? You've got to get everybody out who's like lower high, dead cat bounce. You've got to get them out with some sort of news to go, okay, dude, this is bad. We've finished, we've broken the structure, and then it just does a V reversal up here. And go, see you later. PMI is still low. Main Street's going to eat. And friendship is coming on the horizon. If I had to guess, okay, because that would be definitively getting rid of the 4-year cycle non-believer Jeets, and the rest of us schizos are going to be holding, and we're going to be mogging. Don't forget who loves you. Do not forget who loves you. Me. Like, subscribe, belly button, or catch you soon.